We are almost to the end, but we've got one final jump to make. Welcome to Half-Ass Movie Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Half-Ass Movie Podcast, a show where we put together a half-ass theme as an excuse to watch movies. My name is Adam Portress, and joining me today, he too takes a big drag before skiing, or, well, that's just about anything. Sweet Sean Zakovac's from the internet.
You know all my secrets, Adam Portress.
Bruce is out this week, but he is out with his family this week, so you know what we call that? A good old-fashioned time. So, Bruce, we hope you enjoy your time.
Gotta get that time in when you can, man. They're not going to be kids forever. Do it now.
But he will be back next week because next week everything's been leading up to it, everybody. We are on the road to Deadpool Wolverine. We finished up all of our Ryan Reynolds movies, and we are on the cusp of finishing all of our Hugh Jackman movies, leading right into their big screen debut for the two of these boys in Deadpool Wolverine. It's quite a monumentous occasion for these two finally getting it together after all these years.
For me, the bigger thing is that it really did seem like Hugh Jackman was done. Like after Logan, it really did feel like, well, there you go. You put your button on it.
Seemed really nice, and what a great way to go out as well. I mean, really good, solid movie.
Great way to end it. You've also been doing Wolverine for, I can't remember, let's say 75 years. He seems to have been Wolverine since I was a child, and yet he still looks relatively the same.
Popped out of the Australian bush as Wolverine until this very day. He remains.
And he and so when he comes into when you learn, oh, he's going to be in the third one, it's in the third Deadpool. It's kind of like one of those things where you're like, oh, well, that's how you're going to get me into the movie theater. Good job by you, Marvel. Bringing Hugh Jackman in.
It is kind of a way to cement our ticket buying right there, where you're just like, hey, by the way, we put Wolverine in. Hey, and on top of that, he's going to be in the costume you've wanted this entire time. And it's like, tough sell, there, buddy boy. Here's my money.
Yep. And it does seem like the over pronouncement of people who have seen it already, because there's a couple of people who have seen it and gone online.
And my God.
Yeah, it's always like I started openly weeping in the theater, like stuff like that.
Oh my God!
All right, sure you did. Okay.
Those people where they're just like, and I tore my shirt like in biblical times, and you're like, what's wrong with you, man?
Like I was a 1986 Hulk Hogan. I ripped my T-shirt off of my body. It's not. Look.
Pure splendiferous love coming off the screen.
It's the thing that I hate about the culture that we just came from with our last show is the over pronunciation of things. There's always like no, I'm really the fan of this. I openly wept in the movie theater when I saw Wolverine. That's the part that gets me every time.
And the weird thing is like if there's anybody that's going to be openly weeping in a movie theater, it's yours truly over here. I'll tell you that right straight front. And if I'm not doing it, guess what? You're manufacturing it, because I'm a soft touch as there comes. And if you're over here balling at it, then guess what? You're a faker, because a Huggies commercial can get me crying if it's done well enough. It's just I'm a sentimental person.
The man did start crying at a Kleenex commercial one time.
I did. Listen, man, some of these things happen. I swear to God, there was a gum commercial once where I was just like, oh my God, it's so sweet. I was just like, why am I crying at a gum commercial? I don't need this. Who's going to want to know extra is the thing that made me roll a tear today? No one. No one. But here we are. And
very high quality.
And we're glad that you guys are here as well. And we're glad that people support us over at patreon.com/HMP. Those awesome people get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. And this week's Dinger Zone's quite a good one. Movies that everyone loves, but we hate. For some reason or other, these movies get in our craw, but everyone else seems to really, really love them. We got an interesting time over there, me and Sean kind of going back and forth on that. So if you want to get some of that and help support this program at the exact same time, future episodes of Sean Loves Spaceships coming very soon. So we got that to look forward to and everything. Just remember, if this show disappeared on Monday, you check your podcast device of choice and you'll go, Crap, where's HMP at? What would you pay $1 to get that show back? Throw it us $1. We appreciate that. Anything more is amazing and lovely. We appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. And as always, leave comments and stuff like that, or email us at halfasspod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from all of you. Leave a 5-star review on iTunes. All that good stuff, man. We really appreciate all of you guys listening week after week, month after month, and by God, year after year at this point. So much fun.
If you're concerned on some of Adam's takes when it comes to movies that he can't stand that the rest of the world seems to like, there's only really one take he had where it was like, well, that's no good. That's a bad take. There's only one. And I think that he feels the same way about one of mine as well.
Yeah. Like there's certain things when you hear people like movies that people just don't really like, sometimes you can understand it. And I think that we've all certainly over the 10 years of podcasting and everything have definitely gotten into that thing of like, everything's not going to be for everybody. And that's fine. There's I mean, take our show, for instance. Yeah. It's not for everybody. No, it's one might go so far as to say it's for not many people at all.
There were people who were fans of the show, like hardcore fans of our show, who find the show completely unlistenable now.
Yeah.
It happens.
I'm sure people like the second that we kind of stopped full superhero and everything. There were several board jumpers and stuff like that. That's fine.
Sure, I get it.
We also want to make sure we have our own sanity as well, folks. That's one of the big parts of this show. Well, let's get into it, Sean. Here's the IMDb plot line. We didn't even really talk about the movie we chose this week, which is Eddie the Eagle from 2015, I believe it was. Did you see this one in the theater or anything? I did.
I didn't see it in the theater, but I have seen it before. It is 2015. I saw it when it first came to HBO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this feels like
when it was HBO.
Still not Max, the one to watch for HBO.
Right, just regular old HBO.
The good old days, as it was once called.
When things were normal. And I remember liking it just fine. But I haven't seen it since then. So you got to figure I probably saw it in 2017, probably 2018, like around there. And I liked it just fine. It was one of those movies where it's like, oh, this is an underdog sports movie. Like if you like underdog sports movies, then I got some good news for you, because this is one of those movies.
Yeah, this was at that time where it was just like whatever Hugh Jackman would be in, whatever his star vehicle was, I was like, ticket purchased. I'm like, I was big enough of a fan of the guy, and like we'd had Kick-Ass at this point, or not Kick-Ass, but what's the name of that movie?
Which one?
The Taron Egerton's spot, Kingsman. That's what it is. Kingsman had come out at this point, so Taron Egerton was a little bit of a thing. So I was like, okay, I'll definitely check this out, and it was really good. Put out by the same guy, Marv, the same folks that do all those kind of what's the name? Gosh, I'm losing names today in my head.
Man, that's been happening to me more and more lately also. So basically, Dexter Fletcher is the director of this movie, and Dexter Fletcher is somebody who I first knew as an actor. He's in Band of Brothers, but he's a director now, and he's more famous for being a director now. Like he directed Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody. He's a producer on.
Well, so the thing is the deal with Bohemian Rhapsody is it's credited to Bryan Singer, but word on the street is that things didn't go so well with Bryan Singer on set and everything, and Dexter Fletcher pretty much ghost directed, if not more than half of that movie. It was really? Uncredited for it, and that's what then got him the gig for Rocket Man.
I see.
So I think they were just like, "Hey, do us this favor, and we'll let you throw in with Rocket Man." And frankly, good for him. Rocket Man, far better movie than Bohemian Rhapsody, far better. And Taron Egerton's a big giant reason for that. Here's the IMDb plotline. IMDb 100% correct in everything they say and or do. The story of Eddie Edwards, the notoriously tenacious British underdog ski jumper who charmed the world at the 1988 Winter Olympics. As we said, this is directed by Dexter Fletcher, written by Simon Kelton, who did the story and screenplay, along with Sean McCulley, who also did the screenplay. These guys really haven't done too awful much before or since then. I'm kind of surprised about that.
I think there's a reason for it, but keep going.
Starring Hugh Jackman, Taron Egerton, Jim Broadbent, and Christopher Walken.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened? Do you know?
I believe it's because they probably are biographers, is my guess.
What do I look like, his biographer?
And basically that's what Matthew Vaughn needs for this script, right? I mean, it's a pretty self-contained story in the first place. Weird little guy wants to be a ski jumper, and he lives in Britain. Like that's the story, right? And it kind of, you just need the beats at this point, and you got it. There's your movie.
Yeah.
There's the big jump that scares everybody. If you do it wrong, you're probably going to be dead. Can Eddie the Eagle make it? Like, that's literally what the movie is.
Yeah, and I think that because we talk about this, be it like this sort of thing or like our Star Wars stuff and everything, you can have something that is very familiar to us, i.e. like the sports movie, which this obviously is, and it has every single trope of the sports movie. And, we're aware of exactly where every bit of this symphony is going. But we get to see all of the players. Like, so this is like the ensemble is quite different. How we're being told this story that is very familiar to us and all the big giant broad strokes and everything. It's what all of these other guys bring those elements to this thing that makes this unique and interesting and standoutish in my sense.
So let me ask you, because 1988 is the Olympics that Eddie the Eagle's in.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a sweet spot for me for sports, because when you were a kid in America, that's basically, you don't get more into sports than you are when you're around that age for me, because I was probably like 12 when that movie came out, or when those Olympics came out.
Yeah.
88. No, I'm like 13, 14. So it's great. Like you're into the sports you're into the Olympics. And I can remember Eddie the Eagle. I didn't like him because he wasn't an American. Like, he had that great story, and they played it up every single time in the Winter Olympics of that year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here comes Eddie the Eagle. He's going to say something, like stuff like that. And so I can remember him, and it was never like this movie portrays. It's not like everybody was making fun of him. Basically, everybody, because this is the way most sports guys work anyway, is like, hey, this little guy's got guts. Like, let's give him a hand.
Yeah.
That's basically the way that all sports guys are. Even like I know that it's the big trope from like high school movies that everybody behaves like it was the 50s, where like the big jock guy's going to beat up on the nerd. That was never my experience. Big jock guy towards the little guy is generally like, you got guts, kid. Like, we've got your back. Don't worry about this. That is my experience with sports. And so for when you're watching the Olympics, like, all of these people, like, I can't believe that, like, just how much balls this guy has, because he doesn't have that much experience, and he's going on the 70-meter jump. Like I remember stuff like that constantly happening. And so that's the part of this movie that the movie gets wrong. But it's a movie. It's not a biography. It's not a documentary.
And almost you need those elements in there. I think. I mean, because you have to develop some tension, some some stakes going into this sort of thing, and like, you've got such a fantastic underdog character, and they really amazing, smart choice of just starting him off as just this little kid who is just, and as downtrodden as you can get him. We throw him he's got the glasses and the leg braces and everything. This kid is as down on your luck as you possibly can get, but he's got like this like glimmer of hope in his eyes. He, whether rightly or wrongly, he's got a big giant head about him, and it just goes, I'm going to do this thing no matter what. It ingratiates you to that character immediately.
There's two, and I know that I've been down speaking this movie where I'm like, if you like an underdog sports movie, forget all that. I love an underdog sports movie. I do. It's one of my favorite genres of movies. It doesn't matter where we are. It doesn't matter who the character is. It doesn't matter. I just love them. And so this is one of those movies that like if this is the kind of thing you're looking for, this movie delivers every time, because that is what this is. And one of the nice touches that they have in this is that even when he's a little kid, he's reading that like primer of the Olympics that it seems like something he bought at like a Scholastic book fair or something about the Olympics, and like this is what this is who medaled and all that stuff. And then they even bring it up later where he starts describing to Hugh Jackman's character how he got into the Olympics in the first place, and he knew the book. Like that is a really, really nice touch. Yeah. Oh yeah, the 72 Olympics. Yeah, I know exactly the book you're talking about. Like that, it's such a nice bit of like making the world real.
Mm-hmm. And like the box, the cookie box that he has that goes through where he puts all of his glasses, all of like just marking our progress as we go by. These are the trophies that he's receiving. It is all of these the laps, all the punches that he's taken from all of this stuff. These are the things that he's getting through. And while he's not receiving anything, he's still pushing on and going forward. And again. You can't help but root for a kid who just keeps going all out from go.
It's true. And you can't help but get behind him, because is there anything cuter than a little kid who's got giant Coke bottle glasses on, that his eyes are twice as big as a normal human's eyes because he's got those glasses on? Like, it's just the cutest thing you've ever seen in the world. And
the British jumper sweaters and everything. It's just in the 80s glasses. God bless it. It's so great.
So good. The one thing I will say that really took me out of the reality of this movie is that his dad is a plasterer and doesn't have a severe drinking problem, which I've never met a plasterer who is not a fall down drunk.
Well, that's what he was eating that banana for, was kind of sober up a little bit.
Oh, maybe the potassium.
Yeah, he's just like, that'll get me out of this, this midday drinking I've been doing.
Perhaps. Hey, at lunch we're going to the bar. You want to go? No, thank you, because I'm going to be standing out in the sun. No.
Listen, if you're not throwing up your lunch afterwards, did you really even eat it? I like, and again, just super formulaic and everything of dad, not giving a shit and just like wrap it up, boy. But like, here's the thing. And again, we talk about this some as we're all getting older and everything. And you, especially as a parent, got to be looking at dad going like, well, dad's right.
Dad's what?
Dad's correct. Dad's more right than he is wrong. Yes, you should be like racing for your dreams and everything. But if we're looking at things from a logical perspective, father is correct. I'm the wrong person to ask with this, though, Adam, because I'm the person who went after their dream, and I got there like 75% of the way there. So like, I'm not the right person to ask. But what I told my own kids, instead of like, your dream is stupid, do something else. What I told my kids was, don't do the thing I did. Monetize your life. Because once you can monetize your life, you can do whatever you want to do after that. Yeah.
And they took that to heart. They do that.
But I mean, Dad's not like, he's not completely like, he's not an utter scumbag in this. He's not beating him. So at least
it's not like the cops are showing up when he steals his van so he can go to Germany. I mean, like he's half in, half out.
He's also got the standard British talk you down.
Yeah.
It's just like, we got to cut down that grass. That's a little bit too high over there. Hey, who are you to be doing that stuff? We aren't that kind of people. These aren't the things that we go do, especially somebody like you. But again, the thing that then goes and spurs him on, and just that tenacity, just going after stuff and not letting anything, stop him. Just literally like, hey, I'm going over to this ski lodge thing or whatever, where all these people are training and everything. I have no money. I'm just going to go and end up breaking into a place and sleeping in there, because that's how much this kid wants it. He just believes that, like, listen, I'll just talk myself into, somebody's good graces here and everything, and I'll just become a thing, because he believes in himself just that much.
Mm-hmm.
And It's great. Because normally we just see. I don't know. Is there a time in here where he doesn't have faith in himself?
Oh yeah, it happens a couple of times, but you have to have that, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember those spots though. I'm trying because
there's the spot where he doesn't get the 61 meter jump that he needs in order to succeed, and he's like, "Hey, I'm coming home. I'm going to be a plasterer. Tell Daddy was right." Like all of that stuff. That's one of those moments where he doesn't believe it. And then the second time he doesn't believe it is is before that, where he is gonna go from the small jump to the 70 meter jump. And he's like, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I can do this.
I do love the consistency of the character as well. With the I did this little jump. Oh, that was fine. Like literally the kid jump. You see him get like 8 inches of air, and then he just goes, "Oh, that wasn't too bad. Well, I guess I'm going to go up to the one that's twice as high as that now." There's some Adam in there, but the older I get, the more I'm just like, we're going to do this 50 times before I go up to the next thing. But there was a part of me that would like much younger would just be like, "Oh, well, I did that one time. Well, let's go up to the next big thing." And then, but I would also, like him, usually hurt myself. But that's more. I think that's more like skateboarding and stuff like that. Which, when I look back on some of the things that how we skateboarded and stuff as kids, I'm just like, we were dumb.
Yeah,
no helmets, no pads, no nothing, and you were just zooming towards concrete at an unbelievably fast rate. Why would you do that with no protection?
We had dirt bike trails that had a pit that we would jump over, and I don't remember anyone ever not getting past the pit, but I mean, it was like a 15-foot pit that if you jumped and you duffed it, like, man, you're going to the hospital.
We'd get like plywood and then put like firewood up and just keep making the ramp bigger and bigger and bigger. Just get as much speed as you possibly can and just ramp off that bad boy. But that's what this movie also feels like too, because they put you in so many great little spots. The way that this movie is shot is also really cool. Now, while there's green screen and some CGI and stuff like that as well, there is enough actual footage of ski jumps and stuff being done that really just bring you into it. And a couple of really interesting shots when he's falling and stuff, where we go to almost kind of a first-person-y GoPro camera kind of
it feels that
look
way.
And everything.
I mean, it's not a GoPro, but I know what you mean.
But yeah, it's got that feeling to it where you are in there with him, just tumbling through the thick ice there and everything. And it's really effective. So just them kind of marrying all of those things together in something that, like, when you think about it on paper, ski jumping, you're going at the top, you're down to the bottom, and you jump. But like that's maybe a crash, but outside of that, that's a tough kind of sell. You're not, it's not a race. It's just kind of a whoop down and a jump.
Did this movie make you want to jump?
It made me at least want to try like the first one.
Yeah, me too. It totally did. Like I'm really glad this movie didn't come out when I was a kid, because I absolutely would have tried going from the little one to the 40 meter. I totally would have made that.
Oh yeah, I'd have gone up.
I absolutely would have done that, especially since I know how to ski and everything. I totally would have. I can totally see myself as like a 10-year-old being like, okay, yeah, let's find where we can ski jump, because that's what I want to do. Like, I could totally see that happening.
Man, the most hilarious thing is the first time I ever went skiing is like, I'll get into a ski lift. I'm fine with that. You just put your butt in front of there, swings by, you sit right in, drop the bar, you keep on rolling. The one I don't like is like the one where you just grab onto the handle and it just kind of pulls you up on your skis.
Pulls you up. Yeah.
My body did not want to do that in middle school. I was just like, I would literally get to the point where, and they would yell at you not to do it, but I'm like, listen, there's no choice. I'm holding on to this thing until it drags my fat ass to the top. I was just like, no, let go of it. You got to stand up. I'm like, yep, you say that, but it's not happening. I'm just grabbing this thing and it's just going to drag me up to the top. And it did eventually. Very embarrassing.
They don't let you leave Connecticut unless you know how to ski.
I would imagine they'd be like, "Oh, no, sir, it's dangerous out there. You need to come back in for at least 2 weeks to learn how to figure this one out." But also,
this is the question that I kept asking myself while watching this movie: do you think that Taron Egerton actually jumped off one of these jumps? I don't mean like the big one. That would be stupid to have him do that. But like the baby one, the 40-meter one, do you think that he ever did one of those jumps?
I'd have to go back and look at it again, but if memory serves, I think he did do that first jump, because I think it happens, and if memory serves, we don't break camera until we get up to him. I could be wrong, but I
don't know the answer.
I feel like
it might be an unanswerable question.
Yeah, I feel like he probably at least made that small jump. And again, I don't know how you couldn't. Like, just from a dude perspective, dudes just be wanting to do that stuff.
Yeah, but it also could be one of those things where, hey, Jason Lee, you can't skateboard while you're on this show.
I'm a professional skateboarder, though. No, we won't allow that. Just it happens. But it's, I don't know. It's convincing enough, and I like it enough, and it's presented well enough. I like all the first person kind of, or the snorri cam, if you will, while they're going down, just looking right into their face. You don't see that. You don't see that a whole bunch, if at all, from memory of other kind of ski movies. But let's talk about Hugh Jackman, because we are in the Hugh Jackman month here, and I love his Howie Long haircut. It's great.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's like, it's just perfect, because, and I don't know how he pulls it off. Because if it were anybody else having that haircut, I don't think it works. But somehow this man is so handsome, he just goes beyond even the crummiest Howie Long haircut. And you're like, God damn, he's a good-looking man, ain't he?
Well, last week he was able to get away with having a goatee.
Yeah, and still then you were just like, well, he'd be able to walk into any bar in town and get a lady. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But he's looking in top shape here, looking real good. I love just our former American guy that used to be a champion, working as the plowman, as Mr. Plow.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that bit is true.
I don't think any of it. I don't even think that this is a real person.
Oh, you don't even think, you think that guy is an amalgamation, if at best?
At best. I think that he probably, my guess is he probably had someone from England that was helping him learn how to do all this.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not sanctioned through the Olympics, like that kind of thing. Because why would, this character is, there's just too many things where you're like,
the odds and like how this character is reacting to these things don't make any sense.
No,
because
because the script needs him to do that.
Yeah, what motivation does he have to do anything for this guy? Now, initially his thing is like, I just want to get you a little something so you'll get on your way and get out of here. But he does get over that hump to where it's like, well, I guess you're my boy now and we're going to be doing this. But when does that particularly happen? I think it just kind of happens and we just kind of go like, oh, I guess he's just on board now. He just shows up and he's like, I've been in your back pocket the whole time, young man.
Isn't it after the kids, the other skiers are just relentless with him? Isn't that when it happened?
Yeah, probably so. It's like just going like, oh, all these kids are, kind of taking one on him, so he just kind of steps up and all that kind of stuff. I would thought, as someone who is lower middle class and grew up around just fabulously wealthy people do love to make fun of you when you don't have the same amount of money they have. That happens all the time. So I'm sure that there was a bit of that was happening to Eddie, but I don't think that it was happening within his own team. I do.
Like maybe one or two guys, not the entire Olympic team was doing that.
I do like how it really puts into the whole, kind of British classism sort of stuff, and everything really kind of just leans into that, like, oh, you'll never be this. But again, also the American spirit of, I found a couple of loopholes. And I'm just going to sneak right in here, and by, hook or by crook, I'm going to, get in here. But I think, again, part of the reason why you absolutely adore this character is that, like, it's again, more sports movies and stuff like that. It's Rocky. He's not winning.
Yeah, it is.
He's not winning in this. He doesn't get to the top, but he is so thrilled that he's made a personal best and B, a British record, even though, that record hasn't been, no one's even attempted anything in 50 years on this thing, which again, also a great thing of like, hey, 50 years, a lot of stuff has happened in that amount of time. You can easily get over this, but he's not even all that good, but he can still kind of get over that tiny little bit there. And there's just something that's very fun about that. And I think something that everybody loves, it's the underdog.
And let's not downplay it. Taron Egerton is great as Eddie the Eagle. He really is really terrific in this role. I think that he is doing basically half of an Eddie the Eagle, because as an American audience member, you can barely understand what the actual Eddie the Eagle is saying in press interviews.
Oh yeah,
but he is he's so charming. And he's so fun, and he's filled, like, he's just good. Like, there's goodness.
Yeah, the character from him has a wonderment about him, that positive attitude that, like, hey, all I got to do is put, heart and effort into this thing, and, the good luck of the world will guide me. I'm going to be able to get through this just on account. And like, there's something about that, especially when you put that into a sports movie and everything. I think that most people, sports playing or not, can easily relate to and just go like, oh yeah, we'd all kind of want to be in that position, or hope that we would be to that particular position. I love the styling of him and everything, because Taron Egerton, a very good looking guy. We put the glasses on him to make his eyes absolutely gigantic. Horrible hair, bad facial hair, and he's putting his face into a rictus the entire movie and stuff. He is very uglying himself up for this role and everything, and it absolutely works. It never, at least to me, it never really feels like he's trying too hard at any of these things. It feels like it's just coming out of a place of that character.
Yeah, I totally agree. The other thing too is that you remember that Sandra Bullock movie about the football player?
Blindside, yeah.
The Blindside. They come damn near close to saying that Michael Orr is like mentally disabled in that movie. Mm-hmm. Like it's super close to that. And there's none of that in this movie,
he's okay.
which I appreciate. Like, look, the dude was just poor. Like, he wasn't mentally disabled.
Look, is he poor and messed up?
Oh man,
because that's probably what would happen, right?
Let's not make him Radio.
Those two things go together, right? I'm like, ooh.
But yeah, no, they should not. Like, oh my God, that's a very different movie if we go full Radio.
Oh man,
for this film, Hugh Jackman has to help Radio become a ski jumper.
Jeez, this is a very, very different movie.
with Cuba as just like we're replacing them. Taron, you're out. Cuba, you're in. At this age, we're not doing the younger. No, we're doing 52-year-old Cuba Gooding Jr.
Turning his Radio character into like the new Ernest. Radio goes to summer camp. Like all that stuff.
Radio goes to jail. You don't want to know why.
Radio goes to jail. Radio's scared stupid.
Radio goes to Africa, and it goes as well as you suspect.
Oh my God.
Radio in the army.
I realize that Radio is based on a real person, but what Cuba Gooding Jr. is doing is not the actual Radio from South Carolina. That is not the same person.
No. That was a documentary, and the events occurred in real time. You know that.
Oh, God, that's so good. Radio scared stupid.
And it's the same thing. We don't change anything. We just do a find and replace for a couple of names, and that's it.
Oh,
real simple turnaround here, boys. I'm thinking at least 3.2 in the first weekend. That's not a lot of money, though. We're not asking for a lot for the budget now, are we? Thank you. We're trying to keep it in the black. What do you think about the special effects in this thing? Because sometimes they're good, sometimes they're a little bit, but I think they work for, like, for example, the biggest one, of course, is your big Hugh Jackman jump.
Well, that was the biggest. Yeah, sure. Like watching it, you're just rolling your eyes.
But let me tell you something. In the theater, that was a badass feeling, dude, where he was just like, and you're at peak Hugh Jackman at this point, 2015. So, like, he's murdering everywhere he goes. And just the coolest of, I'm lighting up a cigarette and I'm going halfway down, flicks it into the camera, real badass, and then makes the jump, throwing his arms out, and then just gets hammered with the rest of the jumping crew. That's badass. So cool. I don't care if they made it all up. It's great.
It is. It is a cool look. The problem is that none of it feels real at all.
No.
I don't for a second believe that any of this is happening.
That drunk man would have fell and just like busted it hardcore.
But say what you will about Matthew Vaughn, about his directing talent, and it seems like he's kind of been caught in the last couple of years of like, oh, I get it. It's because of the people that you had surrounded yourself with while your movies were so good. And we kind of have figured that out now, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the things you can't blame the man for is when he can get the money, he gets the money for the movie. And that is one of the things about this movie, is that it could have been, like some $6 million little indie darling kind of movie, and it wouldn't have felt nearly as authentic as this movie feels. There's plenty of times where you find yourself rolling your eyes a little bit, but for the most part, they put the money behind it to make it look as real as they can, and that is one of the best things about this movie to me.
Yeah, it's like, while there's not a giant budget to it, it never really feels super small either. Right. Like they have like just enough of everything. They fool you with just enough, kind of your establishing shots and everything. But again, I think one of the main things is that we are all focusing on the characters within the story and not anything else. And because like there's so much of this stuff, when kind of rewatching again this time, I was like, I wish this was like really shot on film, so it kind of had more of a a real natural look to it. Because the digital, being in the 80s and stuff like that, still looks a little like, it looks great.
Yeah,
it looks very sharp and very real and crisp and everything, and I like it. But I feel like a filmic look could have given a little bit of something else to this movie that I felt like it probably needed, just to kind of push it in that little direction there. But that's a real nitpicky kind of gripe. I do
have to say, I did want it to feel a little more Wide World of Sports.
Yeah, and again, I like some of the Olympic stuff that was shown that was clearly like your file footage and stuff like that, and then incorporating like a shot of Jim Broadbent into that kind of old filed footage there and everything, thus kind of cementing your world there and all that kind of good stuff. So real good tiny little things like that. That's just like, okay, good smart filmmaking on these guys. But I would suspect that coming from this group, because these guys are pretty experienced at this point. It's not like we're baby's day out for any of this sort of stuff. They've been doing this for a minute.
Do you have a favorite moment in this movie?
I would. It's still probably that jump. It's a little bit corny. I found it a little cornier this time probably than last time. But there's just something about it. It's the Hugh Jackman of it, quite frankly. I think if there was anybody else doing that, you'd probably laugh it off and just be like, whatever. But with Hugh Jackman, for some reason, you throw a little 80s tune in there, and some about it's pretty badass. Just go in a pair of jeans, no less,
Yeah. Jackman actually smoking too in this movie. Like he just doesn't have a cigarette in his mouth. Like he's legitimately smoking that cigarette.
And he also smokes during the rest of the thing too. And again, just like, you see so many actors so many times that just aren't smoking cigarettes. Yeah. They're just they're BSing
it's just lit and in their mouth.
Yeah. Like he takes a drag, says a line, and the smoke is still in his mouth as he's going out and saying that line, and then finishes, I was like, oh, so you know how to smoke a cigarette. It's wild how many actors can't pull it off.
It's true. What's my favorite moment in this movie? Thanks, Adam. You're a really great co-host. So my favorite moment in this movie is when he's on the second elevator that you have to take in order to get to the top of the 90
Which
meter.
is wild, by the way. You're just like, get off of this elevator, get onto this one.
But having him run into Matty Nikinen, or however you pronounce his last name, the champion jumper, like the world's greatest jumper, and have that guy not be a prick, to have that guy be like, you and I are the same. All of these other people are idiots. You and I are the only ones who understand what this sport is actually about.
Yeah. And that is such a great moment. And he even says to him, oh, you think I'm making fun of you? I'm not. This is literally why you and I are the same. What a great analogy, too. It's just like, hey, we're on a clock. I'm at 1 o'clock. You're at 11 o'clock. We're closer than we are farther away, and everyone else is farther away than us. We're closer to us than we are to them. And
it's a great moment.
It really is. And again, shows you how, like, this character, he gets it. He understands what this one's doing. And you're right. It would suck if he was just kind of like, your standard, Hollywood villain. It's just like, I'm from another country and I hate you and you're a piece of garbage and you will never live up to me, blah, 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 blah. He's just like, no, man, you get it.
Well, they do the Dark Knight trick with him, where at the beginning of the movie, because he won't sign his skis or whatever, and so you think that that's who he is. But the reason why he wouldn't sign his skis has nothing to do with he thinks he's better than him. It's because he doesn't like the commercialization of ski jumping. Like that's really clever. That's really smart writing. And while if this was like a movie that's on the Disney Channel or something, they're absolutely making that guy, like just a real wang.
Yeah.
But instead, they do the much more difficult thing, which is, how do we have something that means a lot in this moment? And they took the much harder turn, which I really applaud. And it's so good that it's my favorite part of the movie.
And you kind of have to do it really when you think about it, because we know that, he's underdog. We know that he's not going to win this by any stretch of the imagination. He barely qualified to get here in the first place. And he only is doing this, this final jump here and everything on account of he qualified with that last one. So like, he's just kind of, rolling with, the story as best as he possibly can here.
Well, they're doing the smart thing, which is that they're not making this movie man versus man. They're making this movie man versus himself.
Exactly.
Which is really the only way you can tell the story.
Because, yeah, exactly. His big one, especially on the final one, is like, is he even going to land it? He's never jumped this before. But again, great writing with, Jackman just kind of going like, hey, what's the difference? It's all kind of the same thing. It's just higher and longer. You've done all this before.
You already know all this.
You know the thing. And it's just, and again, great sports movie moments and stuff like that, where it's just like, it's inside you all along. All you got to do is dig down deep and it's there. And again, great stuff with Dad and his like little evolution on everything. So when you know it's coming, but when he pulls down the thing and said that it is for Eddie's dad, you roll a tear. It's just beautiful. It's like they played the symphony that we want to hear, but it's done in such a way that you're clapping by the end of it, because that's what you do.
Oh, it's the easiest story to tell. Making it is incredibly difficult. Like, where are we going to find a ski jump? But like, telling the story itself and beating out this story, like it's the easiest thing in the world to get right.
I mean, you're just like, put a montage and throw some Hall & Oates in it. Congratulations, baby. You got a movie.
It's true.
Like, it does half the work for you right there.
It's true.
Oh,
also, totally forgot that he teen wolfs in part of this movie, where he's riding on top of the van. Totally forgot about that.
Oh yeah.
Totally forgot that he teen wolfs out like halfway through the movie.
And I think we'd be just a little remiss, but Christopher Walken just kind of showing up. I forgot he was in this movie.
Yeah, he has a can of soup here.
Yeah.
He's Has he just? I can't remember a movie at this point where he's not Christopher Walken. Like, has it happened since the 2000s where he's actually playing a character that isn't basically just Christopher Walken?
It's pretty rare.
I mean, he's even playing Christopher Walken in Dune.
Yeah, pretty much. He's playing Christopher Walken in Dune. Like I'm trying to go back as far as he's even walking in True Romance, you know?
Yeah, he is.
So I mean, and that's like 90s.
Pulp Fiction, he's walking. He's walking in everything.
Is it Deer Hunter, maybe?
That's the last thing that I can remember him in, where he's actually playing a character. I mean, Jesus, man. Even that MTV video where he doesn't even speak, he's still being Christopher Walken.
When he's in Fatboy Slim video, he's still Christopher Walken.
Slim video. He's still being Christopher Walken in that. He's just not talking.
He just can't help it, but it exudes off the screen. Even if like you put it like you tile out his face and everything, you'd probably put it together after about 2 watches. I'm like, I feel like that's Christopher Walken behind there. Just kind of like oozes out of the screen. You can't much help it. He's not doing much of anything here. God bless him.
No,
he showed up in his corporeal form, and it was lovely.
He's there for a little bit of gravitas. I mean, that's literally why he's there, and it does work. I mean, you know, him showing up for a sandwich, like he's doing just fine. But do you need him in it? Yeah, you kind of do actually, because you need to have that one. Like having Sean Connery in Robin Hood, where you're like, oh, I didn't know this movie needed Sean Connery, but yeah, we totally did. Like that kind of thing.
Where do you stand between him versus the kind of bad coach in Mighty Ducks?
I prefer Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken over Elaine Smith. Okay, all right. Maybe, now, normally in other films, I would agree. But as far as like, you know, you tough to get over Elaine Smith being like, hey, your whole team sucks. You're a bunch of little sucky little kids, and I hate all your guts. That's pretty much what he does.
You're forgetting the world's greatest evil coach, which is the other coach in The Water Boy.
Oh yeah,
played by the Bandit's buddy.
I forget what the character's name is. Oh,
I can't remember Bandit's buddy.
Oh man.
He's the one who sings the theme song. Same actor.
Yeah. You're eastbound and we're a bunch of old men here. We're losing our faculties with stuff. Well, you know what that means. We got to figure out whether or not this movie qualifies as art or fart. Sean, what say you about?
Man, I got to tell you, this movie is a dumb movie, but I don't care. I like it anyway. It's so charming. It's fun. At the beginning, here's the thing. If you've never seen this movie, if you are 10 minutes into the movie and you think, you know what, we're good. Once Eddie the Eagle turns into Taron Egerton, if you're still out, you're going to be out for the rest of the movie. But if you're 10 minutes in and Eddie the Eagle finally is being played by Taron Egerton, and you're like, so far, so good, then continue watching. You're going to like it the rest of the way.
And what a great job for 2 kids.
And you don't like good things, this is not your movie. So for me, it's art.
Yeah. 2 kid actors and stuff playing young Taron Egerton's role in there and everything. Both really great and just... like those, the heavy lifting in the first couple of minutes is done by those kids, and it's done really, really well. And like you said, brings you to that point that once you get to Taron Egerton, you're already on board. You've been pre-sold the character, and now they put this handsome man put a grimace on his face and be like, "But how about now?" And you're like, "I believe him."
If you aren't smiling when the little kid is in the doctor's office and Eddie finally gets his leg brace off, as Eddie is kind of like walking around in that doctor's office without the brace on his leg for the first time in like 2 years, you are heartless, and we can't be friends.
Yeah. And if you don't like Jim Broadbent, why are you still listening to this show?
Yeah, really.
Golly bum. It's art for me as well. This is a fantastic movie, super fun. I'm glad I didn't pay $125 to get this on 4K.
Yeah, man. Good move by you.
I was like, well, a free trial to Cinemax will work. That'll get me straight to the top. What other fun things can I see on Cinemax in the next 2 days? halfasspod@gmail.com. Tell me so I can I'm canceling this thing because
Dune's on there.
I own both Dunes on the 4K discs. I don't need them.
Oh, well.
All good. I got them in the highest of quality. And speaking of high quality, we want to keep this high quality show going next week because, as we said at the top of the program, boy oh boy, have we just been leading up to it. 2 whole months, 2 different actors leading up to Deadpool Wolverine. What are your hopes on Deadpool Wolverine before we kind of leave everybody? Let's just kind of give our kind of thoughts onto what expectations are.
I don't have a super high expectation for it. I just want to be pleased when I walk out of that movie. I want to really feel like I'm like, man, I'm really glad that I saw this movie. That's the feeling I want.
Yeah. I think I'm the same. It's like ultimately, if I can just come away entertained, I am not looking to have any revelations. I think we're beyond that point now with Marvel films.
If we're like 70% Deadpool going, look at my balls, and Wolverine going, no, I'm not going to look at your balls, then I'm out.
Yeah, is it 2 hours of just kind of like almost homoerotic jokes?
Right.
Because if so, it's like I don't know how many times we can ring that bell before it gets annoying and played out. I hope it doesn't. Make it again. We are hoping for the best here, everybody. So, but that's. We'll see. We'll see if these 2 leading men coming together on screen for the first time will be worth it next week. And we also want to hear what you think of that movie as well. So email us at halfasspod@gmail.com and let us know if you think it's art or fart. We really appreciate that. Now, also, we have our vote coming up because after Deadpool Wolverine, guess what, kids? We are going on to yet another series, and our Patreon folks have voted and has spoke loud and clearly that our next series will be headliner Matthew Broderick.
Nice.
So looking really forward to those things. We talked a little bit about it, what a couple movies we might be doing. And we'd also like to hear yours. If you think of a good Matthew Broderick film where he starred and the person that he co-starred with after that movie would never co-star with him again, where their name would be below his, email us or, let us know on the Patreon. Those are the people that really count. Patreon.com/HMP. Get all those good stuff and everything. Sean, what else do we have on the internet that people might be able to partake in?
This week is going to be our last week of the Acolyte 30 questions, Star Wars 30 questions. And we will have the conclusion of the Acolyte this week. So if that interests you, you should check it out.
We got a lot of good, lot of questions from a lot of different people and stuff on this Acolyte question, 30 questions here and everything. So it's been nice to see those numbers and people still engage with a program that may not be, everyone's cup of soup and everything like that. So we really appreciate all of you guys. So join us here next week, everybody. Bruce Leslie says he will be back. We got our fingers crossed for him and everything. He certainly don't want to miss it, nor do you, when we talk about Deadpool Wolverine. Until then, for Sweet Sean's and Kovacs from the internet, the absent Bruce Leslie, I'm Matt Portress reminding you that the only difference between art and fart is an F.